Welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited today. We are continuing our series on Magnum Madness. It is part 2. And in today's video, we're going to cover some of the more popular hunting cartridges. And so I'm excited to cover the 6.5 PRC versus the 6.5 300 Weatherby. We're also going to look at the 270 Winchester versus the 6.8 Western. And it's your job to vote below by commenting on which one you want to see move on. So please remember to vote for one 6.5 cartridge and one 277 cartridge. Let's go ahead and look at them. Looking at the 6.5 PRC. Now this cartridge was introduced in 2018. The parent case to the 6.5 PRC is the 300 RCM cartridge not a lot of people use. And so the reason for this cartridge is that Hornady wanted, well, a couple reasons. Hornady first wanted a Magnum version of a 6.5 Creedmoor, and the bigger reason is they wanted to make a long distance cartridge that could shoot a 140 grain class bullet as close to 3,200 feet per second. And they are close to that with the 6.5 PRC. Let me go ahead and show you the numbers. So let's just go straight to the 140 grain bullet. And you can get this going just over 3,100 feet per second. Pretty darn good velocity. And in the Hornady reloading book, they claim you can get 3,150. So again, really close to that 3,200 feet per second. As I stated, one of the reasons this was created was to be a Magnum version of the 6.5 Creedmoor. So let me go ahead and compare it. Right in front of me, this is a 6.5 Creedmoor, very popular. Just a second, let me show you the 6.5 PRC case. So as you can see, a bit wider and a little bit taller. And performance-wise, you're going to get almost 400 feet per second advantage over the Creedmoor. That's really impressive in a short action, just the performance boost of it. And as I said, I think the recoil is pretty mild, especially if you put a muzzle brake on your rifle. And this is my bold projection. I could definitely be wrong, but I think one of these years, the 6.5 PRC is going to be more popular than the 6.5 Creedmoor. Now let's talk about the flattest factory offered cartridge on the market. So in front of me, unfortunately, I don't have the 6.5 300 Weatherby, but I have the next best thing, the 300 Weatherby. So it is basically the same thing, just necked up to 6.5 millimeter. And this thing is a beast. Let me just put in the picture, the 6.5 PRC next to it. So the 6.5 PRC case is a little bit wider, but with it being a short action and the 6.5 300 Weatherby being a Magnum action, which is over the standard action, you're going to see a significant boost in performance downrange with the 6.5 300 Weatherby. So let's go ahead and look at it. A very popular hunting bullet for the 6.5 cartridges is the 127 Barnes LRX. And with US 869 powder, you can get this going mid 3,500 feet per second, which is pretty crazy fast. Let's now look at the 140 grain bullets. With the 140 grain Nosler ballistic tip, it gets just almost 3,400 feet per second. Okay, let's see how the higher BC bullets do. The Nosler AccuBond 140 grain, they can get, again, close to 3,400 feet per second. Really awesome performance. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wow, this thing is overboard. Yes, it is. It's a ton of powder for just a little bit more performance. So, you're burning, look at that, 89 grains of US 869 powder, which is crazy amount. But In defense of all the 6.5 300 Weatherby fans, as they say, you don't buy a Ferrari to get good gas mileage. You buy it for its performance. Moving on to the 270 diameter cartridges. The ones you picked was this one here, the 270 Winchester, the classic 270 Winchester, and later I'll talk about the 6.8 Western. All right, so let's go into the 270 Winchester. This cartridge was introduced in 1925. It is an old one. The parent case. Now there is some debate about it, whether it was really the 30-06 case or the 30-03 case. I don't really think it matters, but it basically comes from the 30-06. I think the 270 Winchester is pretty unique in that it's really been the only successful 277 diameter cartridge since 1925 until 2021 when the 6.8 Western was introduced. So it provides very good performance. It's a great deer cartridge, and it definitely has the power to kill elk. Many elk have been taken with the 270 Winchester. Bullet selection you can get from basically 100 grain up to a 160 grain partition. The downsides to this cartridge is that it only comes in a 1 in 10 twist with factory rifles. The new craze right now with the 6.8 Western and the 27 Nosler is that you can shoot these high BC bullets, you know, like a 165 or a 170 or a 175, and get really good long distance performance. So the 270 Winchester can't really do that. Well, unless you take it to high altitudes. Okay, real quick, I don't want to take a lot of time on this, but I just thought this would be fun to share. So let's say you try one of the high BC bullets in a 270 Winchester. So like the 170 grain Elite Hunter from Berger, okay? So it's a 170 grain bullet, and let's just say we could get 2,700 feet per second out of it with a 270 Winchester. The barrel twist is a 1 in 10, and altitude, this is a big deal, okay? I'm going to show you why. So at sea level, which, you know, I know a few of you will hunt at sea level, a lot of you won't, but let's just go ahead and scroll down and see the stability analysis. And it's not great. So what they say is that you might be able to get good groups under these conditions, but it's just not optimized for it. So it might be able to shoot it. But let's take this up at higher elevation and see if we can get this to stabilize at all. So now there probably won't be a lot of you hunting at this elevation, let alone doing, you know, target shooting at 9,500 feet of elevation. But this is just a fun little experiment. The altitude is 9,500 feet. Let's go ahead and calculate the stability. Look at that. Your 1 in 10 twist 270 Winchester can now comfortably stabilize a 170 grain Elite Hunter bullet. It's kind of fun. The 6.8 Western, it's now a year old. It was introduced early 2021 by Browning and Winchester. Its parent case is the 270 WSM, very similar performance. Actually, the WSM has a little bit more velocity with the lighter bullets. But what's great about the 6.8 Western is that you can shoot the really high BC bullets, which you cannot in the 270 WSM. In this picture, the 6.8 Western is on the right, the 270 Winchester is on the left. Let's go ahead and look at the performance. And unfortunately, the only performance I can show you is with factory ammo. There just isn't reloading data still. It's been a year. Come on, Winchester and Browning. So with the 165 grain AccuBond, you can get this going almost 3,000 feet per second at 2970. And then the energy is quite good at 3,200 foot-pounds. Looking at the performance downrange with the 6.5 PRC with a 143 grain ELDX, and Hornady claiming you can hand load it to 3150, which I'm sure is possible. Your energy at 400 yards is pretty darn impressive at 2,065 foot-pounds of energy. There's a reason this cartridge is Getting really popular. Okay. Now let's get down to the big boy, the 6.5 300 Weatherby. And let's just hand load it with the same 143 grain ELDX. It's going 3,400 feet per second, and the energy at 400 yards is a very impressive 2,431 foot-pounds of energy. So almost a 400 foot-pound advantage. Moving on to the 270 Winchester. Okay, so since, as I mentioned previously, the 6.8 Western has no reloading data, we're going to use factory ammo with the 270 Winchester. And with a 145 grain ELDX, with a very respectable BC in the 500s, and a pretty good velocity too from the Hornady factory ammo at 2970 feet per second, energy at 400 yards, a very respectable 1,709 foot-pounds. So the old 270 is still quite the performer. Okay, now the 6.8 Western with the 165 grain AccuBond. Again, this is factory ammunition, and it's going 2970 feet per second. Energy at 400 yards, almost 2,100 foot-pounds of energy. Thank you again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to comment below on which cartridge you want to see move on. Are you going to pick the 6.5 PRC or the 6.5 300 Weatherby? And with the 270s, are you going to pick the classic 270 Winchester or the new 6.8 Western? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next video.